Oh, hi everyone. How have you all been? I apologize for the delay there, but my computer was just being stupid. There's no other way to put it. And it was glitching out on something, so I had to figure that out in the last few couple of minutes. That was so annoying. So, how have you guys all been? Great to see all of you. Missed all of you this last week, so really I'm happy to see you guys again. Let's see, who's in the chat? Fireboy's here, Khan, Miles is here as well. Big Bash, Chris is here, Spirit Hero, Batman 235, Wolverine 51, Saeed 235, Chris, I think I've already said that, Gamersaw, Khan as always is here, Jacob 10. Looks like we got someone new to the stream, unless it's someone that has already been on the stream but has changed their username. Either way, welcome, Jacob. We got the G Gamer here, which is always great to see. Saeed. The Time Shadow is here as well. 10 Rex is here. Trevor is here. May the 4th be with you as well, Trevor. May the 4th be with all of you. And tomorrow it'll be Revenge of the 5th. And then the day after that it'll be Revenge of the 6th. I'm sorry, I'm just making these up. But that was... I thought it was called for. Movie King 3000, it's great to see you here, buddy. Oh, Revenge of the 5th is amazing, said Chris Thompson. And by the way, if any of you are wondering what that is up there, that's a YouTube members goal. So for the whole of this month, I'm just looking for 10 members to sign up. And then they'll gain access to trailer reactions, and they'll... also be able to join in when we do the Let's Watch live streams, which I still very much intend on doing. And then you guys will be able to join in on that. Adam Grunther says, hey, I made it on this one. Yeah, you have, buddy. I'm so glad to see you. Missed having you here, bud. Can you let me know why you're not able to join? Is it because you're busy on those times? Is it because based on the time difference, I'm streaming at the wrong time? Let me know, because if ever I can always... find ways to get it to work. That would be good. Adam says work. Ah, I see. What time is it where you are right now? Because here it's 11:22 in the evening. So I actually did this live stream quite late. But quite a lot of you have shown up this time. At least this early. You've shown up quite early. The Dark Lord says it's 6:22 p.m. Oh wow, for Adam Grunther it's 3:22 in the afternoon. Wow, we're on completely different sides of the time spectrum right here. Not too interested in seeing it. Oh, you're talking Good Times is talking to Fireboy. I thought he was saying something to me there. Oh, wow, all of you are giving me your time zones right here. Let's see. Jacob says it's 6:23 p.m. Wolverine 51 says it's 3:22 in Arizona. Fireboy says 11:23. So, Fireboy, your my time difference. Your my time zone is the same. Let's see, 6:23 for Matthew, 6:23 for Big Bash, 6:23 for Jess. Let's see, 11:23 for Saeed, so it's good to know that some of you are in my time zone. Charleston lives in the UK, so does I Hate Anime. 6:23 says Movie King, 6:23 says 10 Rex. Man, time differences make it hard for content creators to actually get everyone in, one place. I'm surprised you guys today, of all times, have actually... It seems like more of you have been able to join in. Gamersaw says it's 11:24. That I'm assuming PM. 5:24 for me, says G Gamer. Yes, Joshman, I am aware of the positive reviews for Thunderbolts, but I'm going to be talking about that as well. Now, before I talk about that, something I want to talk to you guys about. And Kevin, thank you very much for that $2 super chat. I really appreciate that. And you guys can see I just managed to turn it on. If any of you guys do any kind of super chat or Streamlabs chat, which you guys all know I prefer if you could do that, it'll all pop up on the screen, so you'll all get to see a cool notification whenever you do that. So yeah, now let me see if I can actually show you what I was going to show you. It's relating to the latest Versus video that I'm actually doing. And Kevin donated $5. Thank you very much, Kevin, as well for that. I'll read your super chats in a minute. So if you all want to just like line your super chats up, I will read all of them in one go. So let me just find what I want to show you regarding the upcoming Versus video. YouTube Studios. Click in there. Alright. Here we go. Here we go. I can show you guys now. I've taken the image. If it loads up. Damn hard drive. Big Bash says he saw my Versus video early on Patreon. Well, I'm glad you did. If you're a YouTube member, you also get to see it early. So, yeah. Alright, just waiting for this image to load in. The Mac can sometimes be really slow at times. Oh, Goat says, Eric, I won't be commenting that much because I'll be asleep. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. Hopefully, even if you won't be able to comment much, that's okay. So long as you're here for a bit, that will be, we'll appreciate that you're here for a bit. Okay, now look, this is what I want to show you guys. It's not good news, I'm afraid. This is my, what you're going to see. This is my Sinners versus From Dusk Till Dawn versus video. Now, I was so incredibly happy that I managed to get this versus video done in a good amount of time, because usually it takes me longer to do versus videos, but I put in so much hard work, stayed up for extra long hours so I could get this video done. And ultimately it got a copyright claim, very much like the copyright claim that my Electric State review got. And this seems to be something new. As you can see, there's all of these time codes here. Like, they're really, it doesn't matter if you have multiple different clips, they're really finding ways to like just copyright claim all of the clips that you put in, even if they are just like 5 seconds a piece. And unfortunately, this is what they're doing, and I swear, this is not the studios, this is YouTube and their automatic copyright system, where it just automatically kind of like just lumbers all of this together and says, yeah, this is breaching copyright. Now, I did put in an appeal, and I did the appeal for my Electric State review with Netflix, and Netflix removed the claim very quickly. In the same amount of time, I did this appeal, and this company, unfortunately, they decided that their appeal was just, and they kept it on, even though it was completely wrong, their appeal, their claim. Not only that, but they're also claiming footage, they're claiming that they're there to protect the footage from Dusk Till Dawn, but they're also claiming footage from Sinners as well, which has nothing to do with them. So they're claiming that Sinners is breaching their copyright, even though it isn't. So that is really quite sad, that is. Now, I've contacted YouTube, who are going to be, I don't really think they're going to be useful at all, but they said they're going to escalate it. We'll see how that goes. I've also uploaded another version of this video, and I've also done another copyright appeal on the because it also got copyright claimed. I've uploaded 5 different versions of this video, all of which have gotten copyright claimed. So sadly, this versus video is not going to go up like I wanted it to. Ideally, I wanted it to go up today, hours ago, essentially, but sadly it couldn't because of this copyright claim, and now I've got to wait for. It's really annoying. So if you want to watch this versus video now early, then you're gonna have to watch it through Patreon, where you can gain early access to it, or my YouTube memberships. Either way, like I said, it always helps support the channel, and you'll be able to gain access to the Versus video. And like I said, it will also boost that goal up there if you become a YouTube member. But it's annoying. It really is annoying that this is what I have to go through. I really wish I didn't have to. I just wish I could have uploaded the video for you today, and it would have been ready, and you guys could have enjoyed my Sinners versus From Dusk Till Dawn versus video. But sadly, this is the kind of crap we got to go through. Arathorn says, why is it in French? I don't know, but I did look up their website. You can see over here, if I zoom in. Do you see where it says claimants right next to the video? It says content type is visual. Below that, it says Nan Films or Copyright Agency. I've sent them an email, and it's Sunday, so we're going to have to wait and see what happens tomorrow. If that doesn't work, they have a number, but it's an international number, so I'm going to try to call their officers up if they don't. But yeah, I'm really getting tired of this. Now, this seems to be something that is going on with YouTube in general, because Angry Joe, I was actually watching some of his videos recently, and he was going through a very similar copyright issue like this, where there was just like time codes all over the place. And it was for a movie called The Accountant 2 from Warner Brothers and MGM. They were the ones causing him issues there. So I don't know if this is something new that's going to start happening with content creators, but honestly, this is very bad, and it means that I don't know what's going to happen with the Versus videos down the line, because if they just demonetize them, I can't make any revenue off of it, and I can't do this for full time, which is what ultimately my goal is. So yeah, the whole copyright thing on YouTube is actually getting far worse, and it's like I said, it's not just me that's going through it. Angry Joe is going through it, and my hope, I'm assuming a lot of other people are going to be doing this as well. So if others are doing it too, this is what I always hope. It's not nice to hear, but it is true, because their voices are the only ones that matters. If this kind of stuff happens, I hope that it happens to all the big creators, because the big creators, like the really big ones, like Angry Joe and stuff, they can make a fuss about it. And if they make a fuss about it, then YouTube will try to do something. Like, do you remember the whole "Where's the fair use" thing that happened several years ago, when Hollywood was really abusing the copyright system? So I think if this happens to big content creators, that they are the ones that can really get out there and say, YouTube, what's going on? Like, what are you playing at? So I really hope that is the case, because I cannot battle this. I can normally make adjustments to little small sections of a video, but when it says, do you see, let me show you what it is that I'm actually pointing at here. Where's the arrow that I have? Here. Where is that arrow? Here it is. Okay, give me a second here. Here we go. You can see the arrow now, can't you? Yeah. You see all of this? These are too many time codes for me to actually adapt to. I cannot, from a copyright perspective, I can't tackle all of this, because if I do this, look, 627 to 709, or over here, here's a big one, 119 to 210. That basically is saying that I'm claiming essentially just under a minute of copyright with the footage I've got, but I never keep the same footage on for a minute. I split it up, and they're maximum 10 seconds. So the fact that this is here means that it's taken a bunch of small clips I've put together, and it says this all counts as copyrighted footage, and that means that there is no way to combat this. This is just too much. It's essentially a full-time job just to try to combat this, but then they'll come up with other issues themselves. So yeah, this is something on YouTube. This is new. This does not normally happen, where, do you see all these highlighted points? These are the sections it has issues with. I mean, look at this. These are huge chunks of the video it wants me to take out. It's ridiculous. Time Shadow says, it's not ideal, but a trick that I often use is to put an image of my channel's logo over video feed of copyrighted material to get them off my back. It's unideal, I agree, but it works. Does it? Chris Thompson says, I suggest putting filters on the clips, but I don't know what the reasons for why it's claimed at all. I know. Dark Lord says, I remember a Reddit YouTuber said they were nearly taken down for copyright strikes on non-existent music in their videos. Yeah, this is just ridiculous. Patreon allows copyright stuff and protects it more than YouTube suggests. They definitely do. That's why you've seen a lot of additional content on Patreon, and I've actually given you high-quality content on there, because the reason why is because I don't have to worry about this kind of stuff. Like, if my early access versus videos, it's $5 a month on Patreon. If all of you guys did that, I could happily, like, just move away from YouTube, and I'd be like, you know what? I could just put all my videos up there, and I would be so much happier for it. This is just too much to deal with. Afro Otaku 917 says, hey Eric, I've commented here before and I've tried to respond, but it sucks to hear, because one idea I was going to share is a Shazam. Fury of the Gods versus the Marvels video. Yeah, it's... Have I thought of putting a border around it? I don't know. I'll probably have to consider it. I was thinking of doing some still images, is what I was thinking. Maybe that would get him off my back, is what I was thinking. But I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't know. Let's just see how the email goes first, and then I'll consider doing that. But yeah, this really is a shame. I put so much work into this video, and I was hoping that I could get it out quickly, this versus video this time, in release with Sinners. Turns out, you know, that can't happen. Saeed says, I remember a YouTuber put like a bikini thumbnail in his video and was reviewing a game, and a few days later it was flagged off. Is it possible to live stream on Patreon, says Big Bash. I think it is. It should be. I Hate Anime says, I feel bad for you. Well, thanks, bud. This is not easy, especially when you put all that work in that I've put in. And timing is of the essence when it comes to making videos like this. You want to get them out quick. So the fact that they have done this, it really is an issue for me. So yeah, I'm just letting you guys know about that. So trust me, the video would have been out by now, but there is no way. So if you want to see it early, the only way right now that you can see it early is if you, like I said, I've got the arrow right here, is if you just sign on to Patreon or YouTube members and get the early access versus video perk. And then that way you can watch it early. Otherwise, there's nothing else I can do. The monetization is completely turned off. So, yeah, that really does suck. That really, really does. The Dark Lord says, at this point, YouTube's copyright system is as fair as Cartman is to Kyle. I know. So yeah, this seems to be something new that YouTube is doing, and I hope it doesn't extend to other videos, because like I said, I've got other videos I'm planning, and I don't want to see copyright claims like this happening on those. Thunderbolts is another movie I'm also planning on doing a versus video with, and I hope this doesn't happen to that too. It really is ridiculous. So, yeah. With Universal being strict, I'm surprised the Puss in Boots video went on YouTube just fine. Me too, G-Gamer, I am as well. The reason I put that up anyway was because I was commissioned to do that video. I was actually paid, was it $350 to basically do that video? So I did it. And it's from Gregory, and I was like, I'm gonna put it up no matter what. But thankfully, it all went fine. But yeah, the fact that this is happening is just ridiculous. So yeah, I thought I would just let you guys know about that. That's the situation that is happening. It's not ideal. I'm not happy about it, but there's nothing else I can do. So right now it's just a waiting game. Unless you want to watch it early, Patreon and YouTube members is the only way you can you guys can do that, basically. So yeah, that's basically the issue there. So with that said, let's read some comments. Now, first of all, Kevin has done 2 super chats, which is very generous of him. And as you guys can see, I could use all that kind of help that I can, because I can't even put this video up. The G-Gamer says, for the most part, they leave videos about Disney alone. But then what happens if you're doing a video of a Disney movie versus a Warner Brothers movie? Because the Sinners footage is fine. Warner Brothers are not causing me issues with Sinners. It's just the From Dusk Till Dawn stuff, which seems to be causing me issues. So yeah, Kevin's first question is, Avengers 5, Mandalorian movie, or GTA 6? Tell me why. Tell you why what? Oh, which one would I prefer, and tell you why. Okay, let's see. I would say Avengers 5. The Mandalorian movie I don't care about. We've seen plenty of it on streaming. I don't need to see it in theaters. GTA 6, sadly, I never got into the GTA craze. I played GTA Liberty City Stories on the PSP, but I never got into GTA 4, 5, or 5, because the reason why is because I was a kid. I did not have that kind of console on me, so I was not able to play it. And I've not played GTA 5, and I feel like GTA 6, it's like, yeah, I could play it, but I've not played the previous ones. So the hype is not really there for me, sadly. And plus, I don't have the time to, to play that kind of game, I think. Because there's just so much you can do in it, and I don't have that kind of time. I wish I did, I really do. If a sponsor came in and says that they're going to fund my channel, then yeah, then I could. And I'll report back to you guys about it, but about GTA 6, but I can't do that, justify that right now. So yeah, I would say Avengers 5 is what I'm most looking forward to out of those. And your other question, underrated games. RDK64, Killer Instinct, Soul Reaver, Twisted Metal, Infamous, Resident Evil 5, Bioshock. I want to play Bioshock. I want to play the Bioshock games. Dead Space, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. I played that on my Steam Deck. Really good game. I enjoyed it. Very repetitive, but I also enjoyed it. And Devil May Cry. Yours? These are the underrated games. As far as underrated games go, I think there's a lot of games I played on the DS which I really enjoyed. But that was when I was a kid. That's all I had was a DS and then a PSP. Underrated games. So games... I think Sleeping Dogs, that for me is the ultimate underrated game. That is a game that I absolutely love. Sleeping Dogs is... I've played it so many times on different platforms. Multiple times on PC, on my Steam Deck. So Sleeping Dogs, I'd say that is the ultimate underrated game. Because people say it's a rip-off of GTA, of Grand Theft Auto. But I think Sleeping Dogs is actually... It's more cinematic and more like a kung fu movie than Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto always felt like a HBO kind of show, whereas Sleeping Dogs felt like a cinematic kung fu movie that you get to play. So that's what I think. So yeah, great question, Kevin. But my ultimate #1 underrated game is Sleeping Dogs. And Crazy Cat Lady through Streamlabs has given me a £2.26 Streamlabs chat. Thank you very much, Crazy Cat Lady, who I always call you Nice Cat Lady. She said, I watched both Thunderbolts and Star Wars Tales Underworld. They're awesome. Is Star Wars Tales out? Is it? I was looking forward to that myself. Let's see. No, it can't be. Yeah. Oh, first episode. It says first episode date. Did they release all of them, or was it just the first episode? Oh, they've released all of them. Oh, great. Crazy Cat Lady, thanks for letting me know about that. I was so looking forward to that. Great. Thanks. I'll definitely give that a watch tomorrow now. So, thank you, Crazy Cat Lady. Yeah, I saw Thunderbolts. I've not seen Star Wars Tales of the Underworld yet, but I'm so excited to, so thanks very much for that. Big Bash says, Eric, did you know Kevin Conroy had a role in the animated Devil May Cry series on Netflix? I did know that. In fact, I've seen episode 1, and his voice, when he played that agent dude, I was like, wow, that's Kevin Conroy. He's essentially doing Batman with this secret agent dude or whatever, so that was cool. That was really cool. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into the stories now. Hang on, Goat says, let me read his comment. Gregory says, hey Eric, I'm late. What were your thoughts on score on Thunderbolts? You're not late, Gregory. This is still the intro, the opening. I've not gotten into the review of Thunderbolts. I just let everyone know of a copyright claim on the Sinners video, the Versus video, and now I'm going to get into Thunderbolts in a bit. Before I do, though, one thing I wanted to ask you guys is... let me find Goat's question first, because he wanted me to answer it. Where is your comment go? Oh, there. YouTube is the type of person to blame a horror movie for being scary. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. They are that type. Okay, so before we get started now, we're going to get to the review of Thunderbolts. But before we do, I want to ask you guys something. I am trying to get more sponsors now on my channel, and I'm going to... You guys know I'm very open with you guys, and I try to be more open than any other content creator out there. That's my goal, at least, is to be very transparent with you guys. And I'm going to be looking for sponsorships, but I don't want to be getting sponsorships that are just anyone, like that people that you don't care about, and then it's an inconsistent. It feels like it's inconsiderate. It feels like it's inconsiderate for you guys, and you have to skip the sponsorship segment. So I want to ask you guys, which company would you want me to approach, and what product are you genuinely interested in? Like, if I could get you a sponsorship deal with that company, and you would actually think, now that's a product I want. So when I advertise it in a sponsorship segment, you're like, okay, now that's a product I want, and oh, look at that, I can get a discount on it. I'll definitely get it now. What is that? Because rather than just doing, you know, any random sponsorship, I want to try to find sponsors for things that you guys really want. So that's what I want to try to do. So what do you guys want where you're like, that's something that you want? Then I'll try to approach those companies and try to see if I can get you guys, you know, something that you actually would want. So tell me now. Now's your time to tell me, and then I'll try to see if I can get deals for you guys. Big Bash says... Raid Shadow Legends. Okay, let me just start writing notes. Sponsor ideas. From audience. So yeah, put your ideas there so then I can approach these companies. So Big Bash says Raid Shadow Legends. Goat says DC Dark Legion. Jess said this video is sponsored by GTA 6. Oh yeah, I wish. Aceryptic says Raycon. Chris Thompson says any VPN. I did actually do a VPN in the past. Fireboy says North VPN. Saeed wants Skillshare. Chris Thompson says, how about Squarespace? Is Squarespace something that you want? Deadwolf says Sony. Factor. 10 Rex says Factor. Royal Match. Batman's Gamer says Royal. Because this is your chance to ask me for whatever it is that you want, and then I can go and ask the sponsorship companies and get them to actually give you guys a deal on whatever it is you want. It's like, what about projectors? Or projectors something that any of you would like want? Someone said Aquafina. Come on, dudes. Displate needs discounts. Arathorn said, where's your name, buddy? It just disappeared. 999 Displate needs discounts. Goat says Clash of Clans. Obsidian Remaster. Thunderbolts was really good. Marvel Rivals. Gamersaur says projectors. Someone said McDonald's. So, okay guys, that's... But what about what product I'm saying? Is there any product that you want me to advertise that I can get you a deal on or something? Get a KFC sponsor. From Justice League animated series. Has a great owner. Who said that? The Dark Lord. Okay, that's a lot of notes that I've been writing. Sorry, Gamersaw, if only it were that easy. Some of you say Surfshark. I just came back. What are we talking about? Said Adam Grunther. Adam, right now, what I just said was I'm going to be looking into getting sponsorships, and I didn't want to just do a random sponsorship. So I was asking, is there any product that you guys want that you would want me to advertise, so I can get you guys a discount or deal on? So it's not just a random sponsor or something you don't care about. What do you care about? What would you want? Is it projectors, or what do you want me to help for you? HelloFresh, said Adam Grunther. I've got HelloFresh once before. It was on my Hocus Pocus video. Yeah, don't use honey. Okay. Okay then, yeah. Okay, you guys have given me a lot to think about. I've written a lot of notes based on the things you've asked. You could just take a look. Those are all things I was writing. So, I've got a lot of notes from you guys, and hopefully I need a projector to watch Square Aquaman on, said Gamersaw. Okay. Crunchyroll, says Adam Grunther. I think I tried to contact them. I did not get a response. 10 Rex, I didn't think it would get this far. At the same time, I did kind of hope it would go further as well, so it's kind of both. The Rock keeps. Okay. But yeah, basically, that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to get sponsors, because like I said, the whole copyright system thing is just ridiculous. So I need to get more funding, because what happens if movie reviews are now going to be harder to do? It's like, how can I make a living out of that? And I won't be able to sustain doing this. So I need to I really have to try to find a way to actually get past this. And a big way how is to actually... A big way how is that I actually need to try to get sponsors. So that's what I'm going to try to do, is I'm going to try to get some more sponsorships. So I wanted to get something that you guys would really want. So that's ultimately what I'm trying to do. And Electrify has done a $5 super chat. Thank you very much for that, buddy. And says, hey Eric, sorry I was late. Just finished polishing up the script, but how are you? I'm okay, buddy. Although I was just talking about the copyright claim on my recent Versus video of Sinners versus From Dusk Till Dawn, so it's hard not to have a pit in your stomach when you put so much hard work into a video and you don't know if you're going to be able to release it on YouTube because of that copyright claim. It just really kind of like brings your day down. Oh, thanks, Khan. That's nice. Have Disney sponsor you. Blackmail is viable. Have Disney sponsor you. Blackmail is viable, says Chris Thompson. Yeah, if only. Don't worry, Doc. I'm glad to see so many of you are here. It's so nice to see all of you. Like, even more of you. I feel like I've turned up here. Crazy Cat Lady, I tried HelloFresh that time I sponsored them. Yeah, it actually is surprisingly good. Depends what dishes you get, of course. But it was very good. Okay, so yeah, as always guys, when we get to the stories, like I said, what you're going to have to do is I will not be able to answer your questions. I'll be able to glance at the chat, but ultimately I'm going to be primarily focusing on the review that I'm going to be doing. So when I focus on that review, if you want me to answer your questions, the only way I will is if you do a super chat or a Streamlabs chat. If you want to do a Streamlabs chat, a link to that is in the description and it's in the pinned comment section. And that's the preferred way to do donations to me. But however you do it is very much appreciated, supports the channel, and I'll answer all your questions. All the super chat questions, after I finish doing my review of Thunderbolts, all the super chat questions will be answered first. So if you want your question to be answered first after the review, and you want it to be answered immediately, then you have to do a super chat or a Streamlabs chat, and then that way I'll see it. So that's ultimately the goal right here. Dylan, we're going to be talking about it right now. Okay, so now that I've made that clear, let's get to the review for Thunderbolts. All right, Deadwolf. Okay then, yeah, we're gonna if you're gonna have to, that's okay. Let me see. You know what? Hold on, Deadwolf. What I'll do? Give me a second. Because we're not going to talk about spoilers just yet. When we do, I'll let you know then. So, you can see right here. Let's... There we go. Spoiler. Now we're in spoiler territory, which I'm going to be doing right here. So... I'll put this up. Are you still here? Where are you? Deadwolf, are you still here? Yep, that's great. Alright, I'm not going to talk about spoilers just yet, so we'll get rid of that. But when I do, I'll put it up, so you don't have to worry. You can stay here for some of the review. Alright then. So, let's talk about Thunderbolts. Now, Thunderbolts is a movie that Marvel have gotten very, very scared about. And I know they're scared about it because Marvel, they spoiled this movie by releasing some information. If you remember, Avengers Doomsday, recently, when they had the entire a lot of the cast announced, and they showed all of their casting chairs, everyone saw that the Thunderbolts names were all there. Well, all but one Thunderbolt, but that kind of goes into what people were speculating about a certain character in Thunderbolts. But basically, they said that every one of these characters are going to be in Avengers Doomsday, and people were like, hey Marvel, why'd you do that? Like, that's spoiling who survives. But basically, the reason why they did that is because they are shit scared. They think they're not going to make a good amount of money at the box office with this movie. So that's why they put that a casting announcement there to make you feel like you need to see this movie because the Thunderbolts are super important, and in order to understand Avengers Doomsday, you gotta see the film. So that's why they did that, and I don't think it's gonna really win them as much favor as they think it's going to. But with that said, let's see. I'm gonna talk right now and tell you what I thought of Thunderbolts, and if I thought it was a good movie or not. Now, we'll talk about the good aspects first. The team in this movie, I actually thought they weren't going to work at all, but I'm gotta say I'm surprised that they actually turned out a lot better than I thought they would. Now, not all of it is great. There is still a lot of that MCU dialogue in there where the characters are joking or they're over the top in a certain way, but I gotta say, I was really impressed with how some of these characters interacted off of each other, which was really quite surprising because I thought I was just going to hate all of them because they all seem like table scraps from Disney+. But no, some of these characters were really good. I thought Bucky, of course, is great, but we know that. But the character I was surprised by was Walker, US agent. I was surprised how good he was with the group. He is kind of the a-hole of the group, but as the movie goes on, naturally, he's going to loosen up a bit. But I actually liked him better here than I did in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show. And that surprised me, that US Agent was actually better here than he was in that Falcon and the Winter Soldier show. Also, I thought Yelena, she was very good as well. And I also like David Harbour. Now, David Harbour has a lot of dialogue in this. He plays Red Guardian. He has a lot of dialogue in this that is not funny, but David Harbour somehow makes it funny. There's just something about his personality and everything where he just makes it so hilarious. Like, I genuinely was, at some points, like, smiling or something only because of his charm. He's a very charming actor, he is, and I was like, okay, that's props to David Harbour. Like, he did a very good job there. Now, another character I thought was surprisingly good that I actually really liked was Bob. You could see him right over there, tucked in the corner. That's kind of what he is in this movie. He's very much like the wimpy character of all of them. And if you've seen the trailer and if you know what this character is, we'll talk about that in the spoilers. There is more that he has to do in the film, but I gotta say, I really did like the actor that played Bob. I think it was Bill Pullman's... Bill Pullman, I think his name was. See, I should have written this down. Thunderbolts. Lewis Pullman, yes, Bill Pullman's son, Lewis Pullman. And he did a very good job. He brought a lot of vulnerability to the character. I thought he would just be ding-dong kind of stupid. I just thought going by the trailers. But no, he actually brings like a lot of emotion to the movie. And that genuinely did surprise me. because I thought Bob would be just a joke, which he is, because they keep using his name Bob and they try to turn it into a joke, and it was kind of lame and everything. But yeah, I thought he was the actor. I thought he actually did a very good job, and the character had like some good emotional scenes in there too, so I did like what they did with Bob. So yes, the characters, I liked them. The performances, I liked them too. This is not Oscar level performances or anything, but it was good performances. It didn't feel that the acting in a lot of these Marvel movies lately feels like they've either been super over the top, or they've just felt directionless. Like they have no script and there's a lot of improv going on. Or even when they have got a script, it feels like the script has not been thought out, like in Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness with Wanda, where it felt like she's saying things that don't fit her character. So even though she's giving a decent performance, it just doesn't feel right, because it doesn't feel like her character is at a stage where she would be saying these things. So there was a lot of things about Marvel where it felt like before that their characters, it's like, yeah, they're saying these things, but you just don't buy it. Here, all these characters, regardless of what they were before, I did buy the kind of people they had become. So I liked the performances. The performances were good. The action, that was also something I enjoyed. Now, it wasn't amazing action, but it was decent action. That is how I would describe it. The best action scene is the one you see in the trailer, which is where all the Thunderbolts are fighting each other, which is the first time they meet. That had the most, I felt, variety in the action sequence, and it felt like it had the most smarts in it. The rest of the action was just very much kind of dull and plain, I think. I think it really lacked variety, the action later, because it is very hand-to-hand, and hand-to-hand can be great. Look at John Wick, look at all these other movies. Hand-to-hand action sequences can be great, but here they were quite forgettable. Like, I feel like with Yelena, whenever she's doing her Black Widow flips and everything, we've seen Scarlett Johansson do those before, like in the Winter Soldier and stuff, and we've seen her do it better in those movies. So I actually thought it wasn't all that great here, the way they were doing it. It felt like, okay, this is passable, but it's not great. So I thought the action lacked variety. But the biggest thing this movie has in its corner, I'll quickly mention. One of you mentioned the action scene with Sebastian Stan with Winter Soldier. Good action scene, but we saw all of it in the trailer, like all the highlights. So that was kind of an issue. A lot of the action was all given away in the trailer, except for one action scene. Now this thing surprised me the most. It's the thing I liked the most, and it's the thing that surprised me the most. Because this one thing is something that the MCU movies have been lacking. They've been completely lacking it, and it's something that we've been seeing a lot in DC recently with the Suicide Squad. We've also seen it in Creature Commandos, Peacemaker, the Batman. Even the Penguin in places had this as well for a movie that was full of villains. The thing that these Marvel movies have been lacking is an emotional core. This movie has an emotional core to it. And that emotional core is two themes, that being depression and loneliness. This movie, it tackles the idea of depression and loneliness, and not only is that good as a topic on its own, but when you think about it, this topic actually makes these characters, this combination of characters, make sense. Because at first, if you're like, oh, these are Marvel's leftovers, once you take the concept of depression and loneliness and put it in here, it doesn't make them seem as random anymore. All of a sudden, there's cohesion with these characters. So, what do I mean by that? Well, Yelena, we know that she is a very lonely character. In Black Widow, she talked in that dinner scene, which was also full of jokes. She talked to her dad, and she talked to her mother, and she talked to Natasha, and she says how you guys were my family, and how I was alone, and, you know, we all disbanded and all that. It was all real to me, and all that kind of stuff. So, basically, Yelena is someone who has been lonely and has been depressed. And then you look at characters like US Agent. He also felt lonely and depressed. And then if you look at characters like Bob in particular, he also was lonely and depressed. And then Sebastian Stan, when you think about his character, when you think about Bucky, he also was lonely and depressed when he was being tortured by Hydra for all those years. And then, of course, you can look at, what's her name? The one they gender bent, Taskmaster. Even Taskmaster with her whole situation was also lonely and depressed. All these characters come from a place where they were lonely and depressed, and taking that theme of loneliness and depression, combining them together and applying it to all these characters, suddenly it takes this random ragtag group of characters and they all start to make sense as to why they are together. They are all lonely, they are all depressed, and at first they're at each other's throats at the beginning of the movie, hence that action scene we see in the trailer. But then this movie actually gives them reasons to actually relate to each other and connect to each other. So this was actually, I thought, was a very smart thing to put into this movie. Because knowing Marvel, you think, oh, they've got so many characters, what are they going to do? They can't fit them all together in one movie. They can, and they did, but they did it smartly. So that is what I will give them praise for. They actually had reason to put these characters together. They are not as random as you think when you take into account that they are all lonely and they have all been depressed, both in their past and the present. This really does give like a real good reason as to why they are all together. And I loved that. That is something that Marvel have been lacking. That felt like there was a sense of structure here. And I absolutely loved that. I loved that they put that they did all that. And they took that into consideration when choosing these characters. Now, this is where we get into the bad stuff. Because I love the fact that they brought them in, but the reason... I would say, unfortunately, it did not work in the end. And the reason why is because this movie is rushed. It is majorly rushed. This movie... I told you that all these characters are depressed and they've been lonely, essentially. But this is where things kind of become an issue here. And you, tell me if you agree. I think you will agree with this. These characters, when you actually delve into their backstory and you delve into what made them so depressed and what made them lonely, I wanted to see more and more of that. I wanted to see more of their depression, and I wanted to see all of their depressed stories. I was like, you've shown me these characters, but now tell me why I should care about each and every single one of them. But the problem is that this is not a TV show. This is a movie, and as a movie, it has a very limited runtime. The runtime here is about 2 hours. So that means that this movie cannot give all of these characters a backstory about how lonely and depressed they were. Instead, it has to pick and choose. And the characters that it picks and chooses is Yelena and Bob. Those two are the emotional core of the movie because it delves into their depression and their loneliness. But sadly, the rest of the characters, Bucky, Alexei, Red Guardian, Ghost, US Agent, those characters, they don't have time to delve into their depression or their loneliness. US Agent, they touch on it, but if you've seen the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show, that little flashback they give US Agent, it was pointless. You didn't need that particular flashback. I don't think it was the most effective use of time to illustrate. It didn't really teach you anything new about him. And for Bucky, we did not get to see any of his depression, and he would have been depressed, but they did not do that. They didn't go into that, so Bucky was not given a backstory, US Agent wasn't, Ghost wasn't, and quite frankly, Red Guardian wasn't either. Red Guardian jokes all the time. He's always making jokes, but the truth is, he must have a harsh backstory too. And it would have really been interesting if they took a character as comedic as Red Guardian and really broke him down and delved into his past. I mean, that's something that James Gunn does a lot with his characters. As goofy and over the top as they can be, he delves into their backstories and there's tragedy there. And I feel like Red Guardian, out of all the characters, it would have been interesting to see such a chipper and such a over-the-top happy character to see his low point. What happened in his past? Is this all a front he puts on? It could have been so interesting to see, but sadly, the movie does not focus on any of these characters. At one point, you hear them say, oh yeah, I saw a bunch of, like, when they go to the place where it actually... I'm trying not to give spoilers yet for those that haven't seen the movie, but when they get to a place where they can explore their trauma, Bucky was like, oh yeah, the stuff I saw. And it's like, but why didn't you show us that? We would have liked to have seen that. They didn't show it. And this makes me think that Thunderbolts should not have been a movie. I think Thunderbolts should have been a streaming show, because I think Thunderbolts very much had the potential to be like Peacemaker, where it's a character where it's full of misfits essentially, but all of them get their due. They all get their backstory. Or even Creature Commandos, a lot of them got their due and they got backstories. We should have had one episode, we should have had an 8-episode show of Thunderbolts, where in each episode we delve into one of the Thunderbolts' backstory. One episode each would be dedicated to a Thunderbolt. And we would all go through their backstories, and then we would come to the very end of the scene where it culminates in a genuinely touching and beautiful scene with Yelena and Bob, where it's all about trauma and all about loneliness and depression, and the words "you are not alone" like come into play. And I was thinking, you know what? This is a really good idea, but this movie gives no time to flesh any of it out. Because just think about it, if it was a show and we had an episode where each of the characters all had their trauma explained through flashback, and then we came to the end where there's essentially an embrace, where there's actually like all of them kind of like relate, it would have made sense if we actually would have made more sense. It would have been even more of an emotional scene, and even I would have cried, I think, at it if we got more detailed information about the Thunderbolts' backstory. But sadly we didn't, because we did not get that detailed backstory with all of them, only just 2 of them, and even with the 2 that we got it with Yelena and Bob, I still wish that would have been delved into more as well. So I think this movie, the structure of it should have been a TV show. Not the crappy MCU shows that Marvel make, where they are really just movies that are padded out. No, I mean like a proper, just like how DC, how they handle their TV shows with Peacemaker and the Penguin and Creature Commandos. It should have been done in a format like that, where they would have fleshed all these characters out, then taken us to that final scene, which had the words in there, "You're not alone." If they culminated it together like that, that would have been so smart. It would have had me in tears. I would have been a mess. But sadly it wasn't. The biggest problem with this movie is that it is rushed. So that is my biggest issue with that. Big Bash says hour-long episodes would fit. Yes, they would. Like 50 minutes to an hour long, like Peacemaker or the Penguin. A format like that would have really worked. So I think that the characters is what makes this movie, but it's also its biggest missed opportunity. We really should have gotten a TV show length of this, and it really disappoints me that we didn't, because I think a lot of people, the reason they love this movie, and this movie's getting a lot of great reviews, is because of that ending. Because the music, you guys can look this up, the music for that scene is called Not Alone, and it is a beautiful piece of music. The music in the rest of the movie is just generic Marvel, generic MCU, it's playful and, just basic. But that bit of music was amazing. I've been listening to it. It is so sad. I think that music is so beautiful that's what's getting people really to get emotional. And I think if the movie really earned that scene, I think we all would have loved it more. So I think that this movie, purely based on the fact that it's rushed, is reason enough why I think it's actually a very flawed film. And then, of course, speaking of rushed, we have Sentry in the movie, and his origin was also very rushed, because Sentry, he ultimately, once he starts coming into his powers, at one point he's being taught and he's hovering his hands over, and then he goes like this and he breaks a glass of water. He breaks it, and you're like, alright, well, is that step 1? No, that's it. After he's done with that, it's like, alright, you're good. There's your superhero costume. You know how to use your powers now. And oh, let's do your hair blonde too. It was really, really stupid. I was like, how the hell did this happen? I was like, how the heck did this happen? I was like, the origin, I've always said to you guys, is my favorite part of any movie. So they needed time for him to come into his powers, or maybe show that he's not fully the Sentry we know yet. But no, they rushed into his powers so quick. And I was like, come on, that should have taken more time. Again, if it was a streaming series, it would have had the time. But sadly, this didn't. 5 minutes, he's learned all his powers. That was bad. I was like, come on, that's just way too quick. So this movie, I think at the very least, should have been maybe 20 to 30 minutes longer. Honestly, if this was a 3-hour film, I think it actually would have made more sense if it was a 3-hour film too. But they didn't make it 3 hours, they didn't make it 2.5 hours, they didn't make it 2 hours 20 minutes, they made it 2 hours. That is a big disappointment, because I feel like I feel like all the ingredients are there for this to be an amazing show or amazing story, but they didn't flesh any of it out, and because of that, I feel like this was just very... It felt like they had all the ingredients to make a great pizza, for example, and they threw all the ingredients on, but then they took it out of the oven before it was able to finish cooking. That's what this feels like. It feels like it's underdone. It needed more time in the oven, essentially. And it needed to have a longer runtime, and sadly it didn't. So that is my biggest problem, is I love the ending of the movie, but I wish it could have been longer. I wish it could have earned that ending more if it did all the work ahead of time. If it did all that work ahead of time, and it earned all of that, then the ending would have hit so much harder, and it would have been so much more emotional, and it would have gotten me to cry. That's no small feat. That's what I mean when I say all the ingredients are there. But they did not give it the ample amount of time it needed, and that is the biggest problem. So I think the biggest issue with this is that it should have been a streaming series, but it wasn't. Also, the character in there, the Amanda Waller of the movie, Valentina, she was in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. She said to at the end of the Black Widow movie, in the credit scene, she said to Yelena that Hawkeye killed your sister. That woman, Valentina, I feel like she was being investigated in this movie over things that she has done, and sadly that subplot never went anywhere. It's like she was saying that she was being investigated, and then by the end it's like nothing came of that. So again, that's another thing what I mean when I say it feels rushed. It feels like there's stuff on the table, on the table left on the table, plot lines left on the table. So yeah, I think there was a lot of issues. I think there's a lot of issues with the pacing and the runtime of the movie, because like I said, all the ingredients are there. They were all great, but sadly, it was too short, and it didn't have enough time to flesh out its ideas. So because of that, my score, as of right now, for Thunderbolts, right now, you guys always know my scores can increase or decrease by the time the Versus video comes around, but my score right now for Thunderbolts is a 6 out of 10. I thought the movie was above average overall. Do you know what? If it actually did all the stuff I said, it could have gotten a 9, maybe even a 10. But because it was just too undercooked, because they just didn't give it the time that it needed, they didn't flesh out each and every single one of the Thunderbolts, that really was an issue to me. That was the ultimate issue. I said this on my Patreon. On the members chat, where we were all chatting about the movie. I said that there is one big problem I have with this movie. Can any of you guess what it is? Some people thought it was the name change, because Thunderbolt has an asterisk on it. That wasn't the biggest issue. It was an issue, but that wasn't the biggest issue. The biggest issue for me is just one word: rushed. This movie was incredibly rushed, and that was a big, big issue for me. Oh boy. So yeah, that is my ultimate issue, I think, with this movie, is that it was just so rushed. It needed more time. If it had more time, I would have given it so much more praise, but sadly I just wasn't able to because of that. So, what did you guys think? Adam Grunther says, I wasn't expecting you to be this positive on it, honestly. I wasn't either. I always say to you, I'm always fair whenever it comes to this stuff, and I did genuinely feel like there was a lot of good stuff in here. But, like, yes, there was bad MCU humor. I still think Marvel need to really, like, grow up when it comes to this stuff. But the emotional core, that's what I always say, you always need an emotional core, and I feel like this movie had one. It's one of the reasons I actually liked The Flash as much as I did, because it had an emotional core. But yeah, there's a lot of movies that don't have an emotional core, and I think this one did, and that's why I appreciated it. But yeah, it really, really, really comes down to the fact that yeah, it needed more time. It needed to be a streaming show. This is not good enough for a movie, I don't think. Jess says he gives it an 8 out of 10. Joey Nichols says, I'd say this is an 8.5, better than expected, but the jokes and the runtime weren't great. Yeah, a lot of people, I think, are also liking it because they've had so many bad Marvel movies that an okay one to them seems like it's great now. But the thing is, to me, just because this is better than the others, which it is, doesn't mean that it doesn't have its own problems. I think it had a lot of missed opportunities. That's the biggest issue. Because I'm on board with these characters. Not to be what they were that this movie makes them, but I was on board with them. You know, what they are by the end of the film, I don't think that was earned, but I like this group, and I would have loved this movie if it was given the treatment like Peacemaker or the Suicide Squad, like what James Gunn has done, or even if it was given the Penguin treatment, where it really fleshes every character out in every single episode. But for a movie, this wasn't good enough. I think this was too short. And that's the problem with Marvel, is that they're making a lot of their shows too short for what they need to be. Like, they need to be longer. And then their movies, they're being too short. At least in this movie's case. Electrify has done a $2 super chat. Thank you very, very much for that, bud. He says, I made my own Sentry where he has a traumatic past. Well, cool. Bob had a traumatic past too. But again, I really wish they would have delved into it more. They should have delved into it for all the characters. That's what I wish they would have done. Wolverine says, this movie does give me some confidence. Joey says, how would you say this compares to Daredevil Born Again? Daredevil Born Again was just... Oh man, just thinking about that. I'm thinking, what? How disappointing. I've got the last 2 episodes, my reaction to upload onto Patreon, and then that's it. That will be done. But... yeah, this is better than Daredevil Born Again, I would say. It's kind of lets you know what I think of Daredevil Born Again. Daredevil Born Again was very disappointing. You could tell that they struggled to combine it with the previous show and the new show that they did. But yeah, I think this is better because it felt like, unlike Daredevil Born Again, which felt like it could never really grasp hold of whatever its story was meant to be, and it wasn't doing the trauma well with, you know, Matt having to deal with the first episode. It wasn't doing the trauma well. This feels like it could have done the trauma well. I actually fully believe that the writers that they had, if they were given the time, they would have been able to have fleshed all these characters out and given them the trauma that they needed. But because they rushed it, and they had to quickly get the movie out, and the runtime was a movie's runtime of 2 hours, I think it's less than 2 hours if you exclude the credits, that is what made the movie disappointing to me. Goat says, Eric, I thought it was great. 9 out of 10. I am curious to see what my folks will think, because they are the normies, and they're not really interested in Marvel these days. But I wonder if it comes out on streaming, and if they watch this movie, I wonder what they will think, personally. Time Shadow, I'm considering putting episode 2 out of Daredevil Born Again this week for this channel. Adam Grunther says, I give it a solid 7 out of 10. Fireboy says, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. G-Gamer says, I give the movie an 8 out of 10, and going in, I wasn't expecting it. Daredevil Born Again was a mess, Saeed. Oh, it's a 4 out of 10 for Electrify. Big Bash says, did your siblings see Thunderbolts, Eric? My brother saw it with me, and he gave it a 7 out of 10. But even he had the same issues with me. He wished they would have fleshed it out more as well. And when I told him it should have been a TV show, he agreed. He says that, yeah, it should have been a TV show. One Diamond Shine says 8 for me. Big Bash says 6. Good Time says, I haven't seen the movie. Don't plan on it anytime soon. Electrify says he just has more issues with the movie. That's understandable. It's just kind of fun to see that I'm not the one. I'm not the one giving the Marvel movie the lowest score this time. Goat says, you said Thunderbolts were disappointing, but you had no expectations. Yeah, but when you watch the movie, you're like, oh, I like this. Like, there's potential here. Like I said, all of them share trauma. That's how they all could relate to each other, and I wanted all the characters to get their traumatic flashbacks where we get to see what they went through. But we didn't get that. A couple characters did, but the rest didn't. Wolverine says the first half was better than the second. I actually think the second half was better than the first, quite frankly. The second half is where all that emotional payoff really came, so I'd say the second half. And people are complaining, I'll say this, in the movie's defense. I know, crazy, right? But people are saying that the movie felt very anticlimactic, and that it felt like it didn't have a third act. I didn't really feel that way. I felt it did have a third act. I felt like it was being smarter about it, though, and I liked how smart it was being about it. But I do wish they would have built stuff up more. So, Adam Grunther, I don't know if you're still here, but you said, what did I think of The Void? I liked what they did with the Void, but I also wish they would have delved into that more too, because it feels like some of the things were unclear. Like, if I had to explain what was going on with the Void, I wouldn't really be able to. But I did like the Void's design. It was so basic, but the eyes is what I loved. The eyes reminded me of the horror character in Lights Out. I can't remember her name, but the ghost character in Lights Out, her eyes, that's what this reminded me of. What they did. It's like they went to that thing and said, we're gonna get his eyes. Adam Grunther says, I love the design for him. It was shockingly simple, but it really worked. Yeah, the part with the little girl, that got me too, but it didn't get me. It didn't get me like a whoa or anything like that. I just did that with my eyes, like, oh, like that. That's what I did. Because it wasn't that cruel when people are being ghosted or whatever, like turned to that shadow that you see in the trailer. It wasn't very brutal to me. Like, if you want to see something where I went like that when a girl got killed, watch the episode of the Clone Wars where Ahsoka is being hunted, very much like a Hunger Games type of situation or a Battle Royale situation. She's being hunted, and there was a girl that got killed. That made me go like that when that happened. Like, I was like, whoa. So that's something that made me gasp. But yeah, not so much with this, I think. Joey says, my theatre, including me, cheered when that character got killed. Yeah, I was happy the character got killed, but I did think that they should have probably died when the room caught on fire, so it would be a bit more dramatic, like a Suicide Squad situation. But the way the character got killed, that was more of an insult. So in a way, I'm kind of happy the character got killed off in an insulting way, but then again, I feel like it should have also got killed off in a way that felt like there were stakes, like they actually couldn't survive something, but no. Freddy vs. Jason had a little girl killed. I can't remember how the little girl died in Freddy vs. Jason. I remember watching that movie when I was younger, but I can't remember. Jake says, hello, I have no interest in seeing this film. Well, I was just talking about the review, and yeah, there was a lot of good stuff in it, surprisingly. But yeah, it definitely could have gotten better. Yep, Jake, I still love how people react when you pop into the chat. You're very much remembered by these parts. Wolverine says, I liked the scene with the Thunderbolts fighting Sentry. Yeah, that was actually a pretty decent scene, but I think it was too slow. I felt like it needed more fast-paced editing. Also, by the way, the Russo brothers came out today on Instagram saying that Watch Thunderbolts is a great movie, and do you know what else they said? They said that they left something at the very end of the film, meaning stay tuned for after the credits. They said, we left you something. So that credit scene at the very end of the movie, the Russo brothers actually shot that. So yeah, the Russo brothers are the only ones that actually shot that. So, or the ones that shot that. So that was actually surprising. One Diamond Shine says, I love Red Guardian in this film. He had me and the rest of my theatre laughing. Adam Grunther says, I have a theory for that scene when we go into spoilers. I have a theory for that credit scene too, which I will talk about. I'll let you guys know my theory as well. Nathan Cornwall says, this movie actually got me attached to characters I never really cared for before. Yeah, for me too as well. The credit scene was, I didn't care, I am sorry, says Electrify. I can totally see why, because it still does feel rushed at the core of it, doesn't it? Alright. G-Gamer says, question, who in your opinion was the best character in the movie? I would say Bob. I did actually really like Bob. Alright, now we're going to be talking about spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, now is your time to leave, or, to take a break and then come back to the stream. Whoa, so, yeah, let's see. I don't know, Jake, if it's released in the UK yet. Yeah, Batman 235, I do like Peacemaker. I wasn't a fan of the humor all the time, especially in one scene where the humor was undercutting an emotional scene. But I did like but I did like a lot of the humor, and I love that. I love the emotional complexities of that show. All right, so now we're going to talk about the credit scene that happened right at the end. Now, the first credit scene was just a joke credit scene, so we can ignore that. The second credit scene right at the end of the film, which I think honestly should have been reversed, that's the more important scene. Ooh, Adam Grunther has got an interesting theory. He goes, okay, here's my theory for the post-credit scene. I don't think that's the Fantastic Four. Ooh, interesting. Because this is my theory. My theory is... Now, for those of you that don't know, there is basically at the very end credits of the movie... In the end credits of the movie, we see the Thunderbolts all show up in a room, and they look at this monitor of an incoming space shuttle in space, which is arriving to Earth. They look at it, they hit magnify, and they get a closer zoomed-in image of this shuttle floating in space. And the shuttle tilts and rotates, and then you see the Four logo on it, like the Fantastic Four logo. So that's hinting that the Fantastic Four are coming. Now, this is what I think. Adam Grunther has got an interesting theory, but this is my theory. I think that essentially kind of gives away what happens in the Fantastic Four movie. So in the Fantastic Four movie, what we have is we have Galactus in that film. Now, what I heard is a rumor, and a long time ago, and it seemed to be true when you look at the trailer for the Fantastic Four, is that the Fantastic Four, when they got their powers in space, they ended up getting teleported to a different multiverse, to a different world. And the whole thing of the movie is that eventually the citizens, the city who loves the Fantastic Four, they end up discovering that, hang on, these Fantastic Fours, they were never from around here. They're from another universe. They're from another Earth. That is something that will be revealed as the film goes on. And it's because of that I feel like Galactus has come to actually, eat the planet, essentially. And I think that what happens in the Fantastic Four movie is I bet you that Galactus wins. He eats up the planet, kills everyone, and it's all the Fantastic Four's fault. However, as the planet is getting eaten, the Fantastic Four get into a ship and they fly out of the planet, saving themselves. And that is essentially what I think. They might end up in a portal or something, and I think that essentially is what's going to happen, is that they try to fly away, from Galactus, who essentially he wins by the end of the Fantastic Four movie. He eats up that planet and destroys it. And the Fantastic Four fly away, a la Superman, in a ship from their destroyed planet. And as they go away, I don't know, maybe they hit a multiverse portal or something, but as it happens, they end up flying towards the Earth that we see in Thunderbolts, where the Thunderbolts are looking at the monitor, and they see an incoming shuttle coming. And they see the ship, and I bet you that's the Fantastic Four who had to try to fly away from Galactus. And that is them approaching. That is what I think is happening in that credit scene. I think it's connecting, and I think the Fantastic Four movie, when it ends and they fly up on that ship, I bet you will see a mid-credit scene that's going to show from the Fantastic Four's perspective. They're going to say someone's scanning us or someone's picking up our ship, and then the Fantastic Four, they unload onto the Thunderbolts base, and the Thunderbolts actually meet the Fantastic Four, and that's where the movie cuts to black and where it ends, and then Avengers Doomsday picks up what happens next. That's what I think. Let's see, what do you guys think? Adam Grunther says, also, I heard a theory about Galactus that I really like. That's my theory. I heard something like that too, but I think that's my theory on that. Goat says, I always thought that Galactus will win. Khan says, I really highly doubt that theory, mostly because Marvel would not go that dark. I think they will for this, because they essentially want to... Because here's the thing, it's not that dark when you get down to it. Because that's a multiverse that they're in. It's not really our world, so therefore there's not really a risk in destroying it. So I think that's why Marvel will destroy it, because there's not really a risk involved. So that's what I think they're going to do, and I think that they will go that dark if it's not, much high in stakes for them. Adam Grunther says, I still think it's Doctor Doom. Okay, we'll see closer to the time. I'm sure we'll find out in the Fantastic Four movie. There'll be something alluding to that Thunderbolts credit scene. What's the best Fantastic Four movie so far, says Jake? I don't want to give an answer to that, because I do intend to do versus videos, so I don't want to say just yet. Adam Grunther says, this Galactus will be the same one from Rise the Silver Surfer, where the Cloud wasn't actually himself and just some sort of vessel. In the new one, he's going to be more hands-on. Really? I didn't know about that. But when you said this Galactus will be the same one from Rise the Silver Surfer, that's interesting. I haven't seen the behind-the-scenes Superman video yet, Batman 235. I didn't really want a behind-the-scenes video. I wanted a new trailer, so I still haven't seen it. Iron Warrior, great to see you, buddy, and so kind of you. You've actually given a $5 super chat. Thank you very, very much. Have you watched Rebel Ridge movie to prepare for Aaron Pierre to be a Green Lantern? I haven't. I want to. It's on my watch list, but I haven't got around to it yet. But I do want to see that movie. Oh, right, Adam. So you're trying to say that they're going to try to tie in that Fox universe and say that that is still the same Galactus. I guess they could. Although I don't think anyone would question them if they just had a different one. Charlton says, maybe Robert Downey Jr. will be the Victor Von Doom of the Fantastic Four universe and he ends up in the MCU too. Maybe, we'll have to see. Electrify has done a $5 super chat. Thank you very much, buddy. I really, really appreciate that. Says, it's just that the new Avengers with a bunch of D-list anti-heroes will meet the 4 team. I would rather see the real Avengers than meet them. Adam Grunther says, that could be why Galactus is attacking this universe. The Fox one was stopped by Norrin Red. Well, hopefully, if that is the case, Adam, I hope they bring him back. Because Lawrence Fishburne's voice, with that actor's physicality, whose name I can't remember, that was a fantastic combo. So, yes, if they could do that, I would love to see that. To bring him back, that would be phenomenal. Doug Jones, that was it. Thank you, Adam, I appreciate that. My memory is just off. But yeah, Doug Jones, he did a phenomenal job. So yeah, I would love for them to bring him back and Lawrence Fishburne to voice him as the main Silver Surfer, if that's what they're doing. Now let's see. Okay, now Electrify brought up a good point in a super chat. Let's talk about that name then, shall we? Now, the Thunderbolts, you can see it's got an asterisk right next to the Thunderbolts, and that's because everyone was predicting that it was going to be called the Dark Avengers, which basically is meant to be like the anti-heroes. And the Dark Avengers, I don't think they deserve the name Avengers, but I can see that. The Dark Avengers, the anti-heroes, essentially, of the Avengers. So they're not the straight-up Avengers. But instead, I feel like what they did at the last second was they says, you know what, we're going to call it... They called it... exactly what he says here, the New Avengers. And that is such a stupid thing, because that is actually a massively different thing to the Dark Avengers. Calling them the New Avengers means that they are the replacement Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow, Hulk, Thor. They can't replace them. So to call them the New Avengers, to me, just seems like a panic move from Marvel. It's like they think we need a new group for people to follow, but we haven't got a new group for people to follow. So they just said, I don't know, just we're tying this in, we're going to tie Fantastic Four in, we're going to tie Avengers Doomsday in, just make them the New Avengers. I think that's what they've done. I think this just basically shows their hand that they are shit scared, and they think that of all the heroes we've introduced, we are not confident with any of them. So that's why we're calling these random characters the New Avengers, which is so silly. Jake says, with all the multiverse stuff going on, what's an alternative universe you'd like to see in these films? I'd say the X-Men universe. I'd love to see how that would, how they would handle the Avengers or take them in. Adam Grunther said, I think them not earning it is the point. This was a PR stunt by Valve. Even they don't really feel comfortable with their name. That's the thing, though. That credit scene felt tacked on to me. Like, I remember when I came out of the theater, and when they were being meta, and it said 13 months later, and the Thunderbolts, they came into the room and they said people don't take us seriously. They say that they don't even take us seriously. We haven't got any credibility and stuff. Like, when they say that, I was like, that sounds awfully meta. Like, Marvel are trying to acknowledge that we don't see them as like the real like heroes we take seriously. And I was thinking, what do you want to bet that's a last minute change? Because Marvel, when they greenlit this, they were acting like, oh yeah, the Thunderbolts, this is great. But all of a sudden, at the last second, they're like, oh, people don't even take us seriously. I was like, that seems like a reshoot. And then, like I said, the Russo brothers said that they reshot it. And also, the director said that it was shot a month ago. So last month, they shot that credit scene. So that credit scene, when I said it felt like a last-minute addition, turns out it was. It was a last-minute addition. Big Bashers, were there reshoots? I don't know. Knowing Marvel, I bet there was. Because there's reshoots for the Fantastic Four right now. I bet there was reshoots for this as well. So... let me think. Was there reshoot? There probably was reshoots for this, yeah. But yeah, when that happened, I was like, you guys shot this at the last second, and they did. They did shoot that credit scene at the like I said, they said they shot it last month. So yeah, you could tell they're definitely trying to like just make the best of the situation they have, because they're hoping the next couple of movies will bring people back in, and I want them to bring us back in, but seriously, they're just very disappointing with how they're doing all this. I gotta say, they really are. They're not handling it well. You could tell they're scrambling right now just to make something out of these few pieces they have. Batman 235, yeah, I see that. Superman has additional photography, but Fantastic Four has reshoots. We'll have to see what their reshoots are like. What do I think of the new Avengers logo? Yeah, I saw it. I didn't see it clearly. Like, it didn't... I don't know. I don't know what I think of that new Avengers logo, because I don't have a full image in my head of it. Adam Grunther says, I'll say this, the Fantastic Four movie visually looks interesting. I have not seen that for an MCU movie since Endgame, outside of Guardians 3. Yeah, it does look visually interesting. Marvel always have this thing where the colours look a bit... like, they're not vibrant, like whatever they're using with their cameras. I know it's a period piece, but the colours could still pop a bit more. But yeah, it does look better than some of their other movies, but I hope they don't green screen it. One of the shots I really don't like is where Johnny Storm flies into space to get the Silver Surfer, and then he falls back down. It's an obvious green screen. And it looks so much better in the Rise of the Silver Surfer movie when Johnny goes after the Silver Surfer there. If you watch that teaser trailer for Rise of the Silver Surfer, that was an amazing teaser trailer back in the day. I remember it got me so excited to see that movie. Adam, I love that too. And if you saw my trailer reaction, I did really like that. I mentioned I liked that. Jess says, Thunderbolts is the Guardians 3 of 2025, since they both came out in May. Yeah, technically. How would you rank this with all the other Phase 5 movies from best to worst? I'm not going to try ranking that. That's like a bunch of movies, that is. So I'm not going to do... I don't think I'm going to do that. Who would you have as the new Avengers? Honestly, none of these new characters. They just got to come up with better characters, I think. Okay, is there anything else you guys want to talk about with regards to Thunderbolts, or are you ready to move on to the next story? Because we've spent a lot of time talking about this. Adam Grunther says, not even Bucky, so does G Gamer. Man, you guys are really standing up for Bucky. I could see him as being an Avenger, but I don't know. It's not just... Avenger is just not just one person. You need a group of people. And I could say Bucky, but it's like, who's next then? Wolverine51 says, how was the CGI? Not as bad as it was before. If anything, they did use a lot more practical effects, and I appreciated that. There was some CGI that was not good, of course, as typically is with Marvel. But what they did, like, there was one shot where Yelena was traversing and jumping across a bunch of falling debris towards the climax of the film, and I actually thought that looked pretty good. Like, I was surprised. I thought that looked really good. I think it might have been practical stuff they were probably dropping. Not all of it, of course, but some of it. It looked great to me. Jake says, will Thunderbolts be a big success? I don't know. It's made about 76 million domestically, and I think that is lower than what they wanted it. So, I don't know. I think we'll have to see. I think word of mouth might make this movie do better, because notoriously, the last several MCU movies in the MCU, they did bad because the first opening weekend was good but not great, but the second week they would just plummet because of the bad reviews. But I wonder with the better reviews of this movie if they will actually go not plummet as much, I think. That will be interesting if that's the case. Not only that, but it would also be interesting as well if, because Sinners is coming out and is still doing very well at the box office. I mean, they just tried to give it more IMAX screens recently. So clearly the movie is still performing well. I wonder if that will undercut the Thunderbolts. That's something that I'm curious about, if it would undercut that. Was Sinners a low-budget film, says Big Bash. Sinners had a budget of, was it $90 million? Whereas Thunderbolts has a budget of like 150 to 200 million. They say 150, but I never trust Marvel with numbers that low. I bet you it's 200 to 250 million, really. So they need to make a lot of money to get a profit out of this. But we'll see what happens. They're trying to tell us that they are going to be in the next Avengers movie and that the Thunderbolts are important. So they'll try and do everything they can to get people to go watch that movie. Uh, 2025 seems like Warner Brothers came back. Yeah, because they've got Sinners, Minecraft performing very well, so we'll see how Superman does for them. The Dark Lord, I don't think it has been proven if Brave New World... Brave New World, it's not been proven, but you can just use common sense to deduct that it cost a lot because of all the stuff going on with that movie, including the strikes. There's no way Marvel would get that done for 180 million, especially with a year-long delay like that, and some reshoots that they were doing. So clearly it would have taken more time for them. Alright then. Alright, we're going to move on to the next story, and then afterwards, if you have more questions to ask me with relations to Thunderbolts, we can talk about that in the Q&A at the end. Alright, so, next story we're talking about is Jeremy Renner and the fact that Marvel are pulling quite a dirty one and a fast one with him. Now, Jeremy Renner is doing an interview recently for a new show that is coming out for him on Paramount Plus, and someone asked him, so, when is Hawkeye Season 2 coming? Is it happening? And he goes, yeah, it was, but Disney and Marvel, they basically approached him and they says that we want you to do Hawkeye Season 2, and you're going to do twice the work, but we want to give you half the pay. You can imagine that he would not be happy, and he says that essentially they're telling him we're going to pay you half your salary for double the work. And he said to them basically that you can go fly a kite, which is what he said to them. And yeah, that is ultimately why it's happening. He says, is it because you think I got run over because he had that accident he did, that fatal accident? And he goes, what, do you think just because of that I got run over that you can pay me less? I think the reason why is because Disney Plus is not making as much money as it was. At the beginning, Disney was spending all their money on the streaming service because they were like, yeah, we spend all the money, we'll show people that this is what Disney Plus is versus every other streaming service. But now that Disney Plus has kind of settled, and Disney are now seeing how hard it is to run a successful streaming service, I think they're trying to cut costs now. That's why they were doing a lot of shows with all these newer characters. Because originally they were doing WandaVision, Loki, Falcon Winter Soldier, Hawkeye. They were doing these shows about these superheroes that were in the movies, but then were coming to the TV shows. So those shows were big, but then they started doing new characters that were introduced on TV shows, and their ratings on Nielsen and on the ratings board were just not doing well. So I think this basically means that they're not making much money with streaming anymore. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to cut costs. So with Jeremy Renner, they wanted to give him less pay than they originally did, which was they gave him so much pay. So they want to pay him less, I think, for that reason. And clearly, it's like, yeah, I don't blame him. If I was in his situation, I would also say, go fly a kite. Basically, I'd say, no, you're going to pay me the same that you pay me the first time. If anything, the price should go up, not down. The studios wouldn't accept being paid less, so why should he? And the reason why... Thing is, I can totally understand why he's mad about this. And yeah, it's ridiculous of Disney to do that. And the fact is that I bet you now that the show is just not going to be made at all. I'd be really surprised if they tried to make that show without him, especially after his accident. And if Haley Steinfeld wants to have that show made without Jeremy Renner, that would look very bad on her as well. So it's in her best interest not to do that. Okay, so wow, Adam Grunther has done a $2 super chat, and then we got Iron Warrior who's done a £3.77 super chat. Streamlabs chat, which I have linked in the chat section and in the description. So thank you very much to both of you. Iron Warrior, especially you, because like I said, I really appreciate Streamlabs chats. Those are far better to do those. So thank you very, very much. Adam says, which harbor role is better, Thunderbolts or Creature Commanders? Ooh, very good question. Both are very different, but I would say, it's hard to say though, because you've seen my reaction on Patreon with, you've seen my reaction to Creature Commandos, and I wished on Patreon, and I said I wish he was in there more. Oh, Adam Grunther says, I meant my question as, which David Harbour performance did you like more, Red Guardian or Frankenstein? I'll say Frankenstein. I like his more somber, more pulled back, more emotional performance in that, as opposed to his over-the-top performance as Red Guardian, which can go too over the top. Like I said, if they actually delved into his emotional side in this show, in this movie, I probably would have liked him more then, but they did not allow him to have that kind of range, unfortunately. He had one scene with Yelena, but that felt like a copy and paste scene from the first Black Widow movie. So yeah, that's what I would say about that. So yeah, what do you guys think about Marvel, how they're trying to rip off Jeremy Renner like this? Because they wouldn't accept less pay like this, but they're expecting him to get less pay. It's just gross. Yeah, Adam, he really was genuinely terrifying in that show. Khan says, especially how they paid millions to bring back Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, exactly. Although it's understandable why they would pay more to Robert Downey Jr. than Jeremy Renner, but still, they should pay him what he's worth. Adam Grunther says, it's always Hawkeye who gets screwed. Yep, it sure is. Big Bash says, he was in the MCU since Phase 1. It is ridiculous. Yep, do you know who else was in the MCU since Phase 1? Bucky. And I feel like they still haven't done enough with him. They haven't given him enough of a... Because he's been paying his dues for a long time, and I feel like they still haven't given him what he's worth. Indeed it is, Adam Grunther, but that's their fault for not making good stuff, which has resulted in them getting less money. So that's really on them. G-Gamer says, Hawkeye never got his solo movie after 10 plus years. That's because I don't think anyone would watch his solo movie. A solo show, though, is a good idea. Sadly, he never got to fight the Kingpin in that, because Yelena was so stupid in that show. She believed Valentina, who she clearly didn't trust, but she believed him when it came to that. She believed her when it came to saying that, yeah, he killed your sister. Then she says to Kate Bishop, Are you sure? Do you really? Are you how well do you know? How well do you know Clint Barton? And I'm like, how well do you know him? You don't know him either. But she's trying to talk like she does, and then in the end she was wrong and she looks stupid. Big Bash says, to quote Eric Cartman, put a chick in it, make her gay. Yeah. Supersonic Adventure says, I never thought I would say this, but I hate Disney. Adam says, I still don't think Kingpin should have ever been in that show. He felt like a last-minute addition. He did. And in my Daredevil Born Again, I'm making a video about Daredevil Born Again, I actually talk about the fact that that Kingpin should not have been in either the Hawkeye show or the Echo show, because it felt like his absence or his wasted time in those shows is what ultimately cost him a lot in the new Daredevil show, because they spent so much time explaining what he was doing in those two shows and why he wasn't with Vanessa and why he wasn't in his show. And it felt like it was a complete waste of time putting him in those two shows. The same with Daredevil. It's like they should have just taken us back to a show with them, but instead they were wasting our time with those appearances. Yeah, Adam Grunther, it sure did feel like they could have used Tony Dalton as a villain for Hawkeye, but then threw Kingpin in there. Yeah, it felt cheap. That's kind of what it felt like with She-Hulk as well, where they threw Daredevil in at the last second just to get more viewers in. It felt like a cheap tactic. It didn't feel like a story tactic. Okay, Iron Warrior, he put, like I said, a Streamlab chat in there. He says, I'm just seeing if this works because it wasn't working for a bit. That's bizarre. Since I'm here, I'll write a question. Have you heard about the Ryan Gosling Star Wars movie? And have you heard about the Andor essay controversy? Yeah, the first question, the Ryan Gosling thing, I heard about it. I don't think that movie is... I think that movie that we've heard... How many actresses have we heard of just, like, said no to that movie? The one from Anora, she said no. Mackie Madison? She said no, which is surprising. And a couple other actresses have also said no. And I've not even heard of those other actresses, so... It's like they would just say yes to any big project like that to get their name out there. So if they're all saying no, what's going on with that project? I think there is more to it going on there, but that just seems very... It just seems like there's something very nefarious going on with that Ryan Gosling Star Wars movie. Maybe it's not even getting made. Maybe they just think that it's such a disaster that they don't want to be part of the production this early. I don't know, but something's going on down there. Adam says, I'm still sore about that because Tony Dalton has the ability to play a terrifying villain if you've seen Better Call Saul. I will say, he was very good in Born Again. In the last 2 episodes, he was very good. He did not feel like jokey like he did in Hawkeye, so they did make him better, I think. By the way, did you watch the last 2 episodes of Born Again yet? Says Adam. I have. I just need to edit them, but I'm just very busy is all. Super Michael 98 has done a $5 super chat. Thank you guys very much for these super chats. Like I said, I really need all the support I can get, especially with this other copyright claim going on with this video, which I don't even know if I can actually get resolved, to be honest with you. It's really appreciated, so thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. Super Michael says, off topic, but if there was a cinematic universe for Greek myths, what movie would you want to see? Isn't Christopher Nolan making a movie based on a Greek myth? The Odyssey that he's making. Big Bash says a Hades movie? A Hades movie sounds really good. I was going to say Hercules. Do you know what I would want to see? I'd want to see a movie which is essentially like God of War, where someone goes around trying to kill all the Greek gods. And do you remember what Kratos did to Hercules in God of War 3 when he kept punching him with those lion fist gauntlets? I would like to see something like that in live action. But anyway, I think Christopher Nolan is making it, the Odyssey. That sounds like it would be something fun. So, yeah, probably that. Man, you guys are really... Like, I'm really appreciating these super chats. Thank you very much. Adam Grunther did another $2 super chat. Do you think Daredevil Born Again Season 2 has potential to be good? I think because the last two episodes, there was an improvement in the last two episodes, and they were reshot from the ground up. I think it does have the potential to be very good, but I don't know, man. I lack the ability to trust these Marvel writers, because Marvel, after seeing so many projects, it's like they deliberately don't hire smart directors. Like, if you look at, or smart writers, sorry, they don't hire smart writers. It feels like there's a limit, there's a ceiling to how smart they are willing to let their writing go. Because after so many projects, I feel like they've never reached that level of intelligence like The Dark Knight has, or The Batman has, or Joker has, or Penguin has, or I would even say Peacemaker from James Gunn has. There's always and definitely it's not reached the intelligent writing of the Netflix Daredevil shows. There always is a ceiling, a limit to how much they are willing to go when it comes to the intelligence of their writing, and it's like they're never able to go past that ceiling. So I feel like Daredevil Born Again Season 2 should be better, because they are essentially working with the R-rated script from the get-go now, whereas with Born Again Season 1, they had to work with the PG-13 scripts, then they had to try to fit in the R-rated stuff. This second season is going to be R-rated from the get-go, so hopefully they know what they're doing and it's more consistent. But, I don't know, Marvel, they always just seem to hit like a ceiling. They never go all the way with the intelligence of their writing, and it's like they deliberately do that. They hire people that cap out at a certain pay grade and pay level, and it's like they don't want to go beyond that. So I think it could be better, but I don't think it will be as good as we want it to be. Are you tired of Hollywood, says 10 Rex? Yeah, I am, because movies just don't interest me as much as they used to, so that kind of means that, yeah, they are kind of tiring me. Supersonic says, as Kratos said himself, there are consequences to killing a god. Adam says, I think the story they leave it off gives an opportunity for an exciting and brilliant story. Matt on the run and forming a resistance against Kingpin is a great idea. It is, but why do I not feel excited about it? I think they should have built it up better at the end. It felt a bit anticlimactic the way they just ended things. So I wish I could be more excited for it. Fireboy says, I'm gonna go, Eric, and 1 week until my birthday. Oh, well, happy early birthday, bud. And if it's 1 week, maybe I'll be able to say happy birthday to you on the next live stream. So take care. Thanks for joining, buddy. I appreciate it. Alright, so that's the Hawkeye thing. Now, next story. We're gonna talk about DC's cancelled movie. Now, something interesting is happening here. This is no small thing. Now, DC's Sergeant Rock movie from Luca Guadagnino is no longer in development. Now, Sergeant Rock is a comic book which I don't think really anyone has heard about. And essentially, this is what makes me kind of confused, is that James Gunn was pushing this movie. And apparently they were going to try to get Daniel Craig in there, then they were going to try to come in, and they were going to bring in, who else were they going to bring in? First Daniel Craig, then they were going to come in, and they were going to bring in Colin Farrell to play this role. But now it's been cancelled, and the reason why is because I've heard that David Zaslav got it cancelled because he didn't see the point for it, and Warner Brothers are not really in a good money situation, so they need to spend wisely, and he thought this was not spending wisely, and for that I will agree with David Zaslav with this particular choice, because this kind of thing that James Gunn wanted to do, it could have been good for all we know, but I feel like he's getting too excited, he's getting ahead of himself. This is the kind of choice I would expect the MCU to do right now, where they're really going back for the characters that most people don't know. I think they've got so much amazing characters that they can pull from in the DC space right now, and they should spend their resources on those. But spending resources on something like this, it feels too early. It feels like the DCU needs to establish trust with their audience first, and once they have, then they can say, okay, now we're going to try something crazy like this. But this feels like James Gunn is blowing his load too early. So, yeah, I actually do agree with this cancellation, with this particular cancellation. So yeah, I think they let him go wild. I think this means they're reining him in. So we'll see what if there's anything else that gets cancelled. But I will say I approve of this cancellation. And if they cancel this, maybe they can cancel Booster Gold next, because if it's gonna have, what was the name of the actor? I've forgotten his name again. Kumail Nanjiani. If it has Kumail Nanjiani in it, I don't want to see. I don't want to see Booster Gold if Kumail Nanjiani is going to be in it, because he's got one type of comedy routine. If it was a different actor, then cool, but if it's not, then I don't want to see that. So yeah, that's what I think. I think that I see why they would want to cancel this, and maybe down the line, if the DCU is doing so incredibly well, then they could probably push for this again. But right now, it's too early days to release something as disposable looking as this. Holy moly, Jake, man. I just looked away from the chat this whole time. I just look for 1 second and then I see that. Man, that's a blast from the past. Man, Jake. Jake, I have not been this speechless since the old days when you used to do this. Man, thanks, Jake. Let me see. What's the comments like? Big Bash is like, Jake. The Dark Lord says, he did it again. So did Big Bash. Khan says, oh my god, Jake is at it again. The man himself has returned. Charleston's gonna go now. Okay, take care, Charleston. Let's see. The Big Bash is like, the good old days have returned. The Time Shadow is like, whoa. Good Times is like, Jake the Goat. Goat is like, Jake. Man. Let's see. Jake is like, well, we'll just wait and see. It's possible it could return. Wow. Jake, thank you very, very much. From the bottom of my heart, I really do appreciate this very generous donation. Like, seriously, man, like, I don't know what to say. I was saying that I was struggling because YouTube's copyright system has become way too sensitive now, so the fact that you've done that is really means a lot. All of you, it means a lot. All your donations really do mean a great deal, so thank you very, very much. I really do appreciate that, Jake. Really, I do. So let's read your question. Jake says, haven't done this in a while. You really haven't, so that's why it was all the more a surprise. You want to know something? Disney deserves to have their animated features dethroned as highest grossing animated film. Anyways, would you consider a cinematic universe for fish films? A cinematic universe for fish films? Lol. Oh, he says lol. Also, what would you say the best and worst MCU films are? Consider a cinematic universe for fish films. If that cinematic universe was about Aquaman's fish people, then yeah, sure, I'd say fish films then, yeah. And we can cross them over with the Little Mermaid and then sharks going after them. That shark in the Little Mermaid could have been controlled by Aquaman the whole time. And he could have been laughing in the corner like Jason Momoa usually does. So yeah, sure, in that crazy world I just created, yeah, why not? And also, what would I say is the best and worst MCU film? Alright, the best MCU film for me is The Winter Soldier. I still think that's my favourite one. And the worst, ooh, that's a harder question, because there's so many bad MCU movies. Well, I should say just movies, but projects. Particularly with the last couple of phases. They've been pretty rough, if I'm being honest. Ooh. What's the worst one? The one that I just cannot stand if I was to put it on. And you're talking about the films, okay. You know what? Unless you guys can remind me of a worse one, I would say Thor: Love and Thunder. Oh, Adam Grunther even said Love and Thunder, come on. Like, yeah, Love and Thunder, yeah. My parents found that so bad that I think they watched about, was it 20, 30 or 40 minutes? And then they just turned it off. And they said we were done, like we couldn't sit through anymore. That is, as Ten Rex says, not surprised. Yeah, that is very bad for them to actually do that. That means that the normies, you've lost the normies if they're going to be turning it off at that point. Trevor says, Lord and Thunder gives me a headache. Yeah, it does. Big Bash says Love and Thunder was so bad. Joking about cancer is disgusting. It is. It was very. It was not. It was not done with good taste. Hui, they've said that they said that they put it on the back, that they basically put it on pause, on hold. That's usually a very kind way of saying that it's cancelled. Because remember, Rian Johnson's Star Wars trilogy was also put on hold. And so was Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron movie, was also put on hold. And look at what happened. They never materialized. Hollywood is not going to say to investors that these are the movies that we're making. And then, okay, we're going to cancel it. Hollywood doesn't do that because that's not good for optics. So they try to save face by saying, yeah, we're thinking about it, we're putting it on the back burner. And then they just cancel it behind the scenes and they don't tell anyone. So that's what it is. Hui says, thank you for finally acknowledging me. I'm sorry, buddy, it's hard. There's a lot of questions coming in. That's why I always say do super chats if you can, because then I can see your questions. Even if you do $1, yes, it does support me, but not just that. It's hard to get all of your questions in. So I'm not trying to like keep people, like the odd people out or anything. No, it's hard to read them all sometimes. Are your thoughts? Hui says, and your thoughts on what Kevin Feige said in an interview? Which interview? Adam, what do you think? You're a James Gunn fan. You've liked what he's done. What do you think of this being cancelled? Really? Staffers had to resort to chasing Feige down in the hallway for answers. What did Feige say in an interview a few days ago? Movie King has mentioned it too. Oh wow, they actually had to chase him down in the hallway for answers. About Marvel Studios going through a creative overhaul. Huh. I've never heard... Is that what he said? That they're going through a creative overhaul at Marvel? They really need it. Maybe he's on his last legs and he feels like he's gonna potentially get fired if he doesn't sort this out, because he has turned it into a mess. Big Bash says, where's the hall monitor when you need them? Jake, again, I want to thank you, man. Seriously, that was very much appreciated, that huge donation you did, so thank you so much. Okay, here we go. Hui says, he said Kevin Feige was spread so thin at Marvel in the early 2020s that creatives wouldn't hear from him and spend weeks on work only to get feedback that was too late to implement. Well, why are the scripts even greenlit then? Like said, yeah, thumbs up. Okay, now you can't do that. It's like, what is going on? Seriously. Joshua says, I'm back, Eric. I'll be able to join in for the... Oh, cool. Okay, where's Adam's... There you are, Adam. Is this what you said when I asked you the question? Makes me worried for how much the studio is going to butt into James Gunn's DCU release slate. Here's the thing, though. I feel like James Gunn needs to have a bit of people butting in, because his slate doesn't make 100% sense to me. Like, the Superman makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Lanterns makes sense. Paradise Lost, it feels a bit delayed, but it also makes sense. It's building up Wonder Woman. And then we got some others in there too. What doesn't make sense is this Sergeant Rock. Sergeant Rock does not make any sense. Neither does some of the others that he's put out there, like Booster Gold and stuff. I'm like, why are we doing them so early? The first thing he should be doing is getting out movies about the original Justice League members. So yeah, we're getting Green Lantern. We should also get something to do with Martian Manhunter, maybe. Like, you know, we should get some other characters in. Lanterns is a great idea because Jon Stewart is part of the Justice League. But what they're doing, it's like they're not putting all their important eggs in the right basket. It's like everything is all scrambled. We're still on the story, Josh, man. We're going to get to the Q&A section in a second. Okay, so has anyone got any more questions about this? About DC and potentially any other projects being cancelled that James Gunn has announced? Come on, Trevor, you know that's not going to happen. He said, imagine if Kevin Feige just sold Marvel to catch up entertainment. That's never going to happen. Not really. Give us a Flash reboot, says Deadwolf. Yeah, the Flash. That could be another one. Except this time focus on Wally West, like the Justice League animated series. But what they're doing is not so great. Alright, there we go. Now we're at the Q&A session, so ask me all the questions. Any questions you want. And, like I said, any donations, Super Chats, Streamlabs chats, all will be appreciated. And it doesn't matter where you do it, whether it's on Streamlabs or Super Chats on YouTube, your name will pop up on the screen. And you'll get a nice notification there. So... just posted what Feige said in your Patreon chat. Okay, I'll look at my Patreon chat right now. That's another thing, if you're a Patreon member, guys, we've got like essentially like a Patreon version of Discord, so we can all chat together about these new things when they happen. That's a lot of images in there, Justin. They're still loading through. Gary says, I find it confusing why Bullseye took orders from Vanessa after what happened in Season 3. Oh, here we go. Here's... okay, I read the Wall Street article. Here's what it reveals. Kevin Feige didn't really want to make Disney Plus shows. He agreed to it because he could see the story potential, but mostly because he wanted to play ball with Iger, Chapek, and Wall Street investors. It wasn't just Daredevil. Marvel Studios as a whole underwent a huge creative overhaul after having dealt with one too many flops. Thunderbolts was the first movie made post-overhaul. Marvel, having grown increasingly anxious about their quality, is what keeps delaying Blade. That's good. At least they're thinking about quality now, at least, because they have not been thinking about quality all this time. The overhaul came as a result of Kevin Feige being completely exhausted by Phase 4 and early Phase 5. There were times where production teams wouldn't hear from Feige from weeks to months on end. By the time he had time to give those teams feedback, it was too late to implement. There were instances where creatives had to literally ambush Feige in the Marvel Studios hallway for any kind of talk. That's how bad the situation had gotten. Marvel was speaking with Robert Downey Jr. about returning to the MCU for a full year before any Doctor Doom talk. Wow. The Marvels had reshoots because Feige was missing in action for the vast majority of filming. The biggest obstacle they faced was how to make the film cohesive without being caught up with all the Disney Plus shows. Disney Plus has gotten too heavy. MCU shows are going back to be mostly disconnected. Miss Marvel in particular was a failure. That hit hard on Marvel Studios more... Let me read that again. Miss Marvel in particular was a failure that hit hard on Marvel Studios' moral because it was a show everyone, including Feige, was extremely proud of. Seriously? Let me read that again. Miss Marvel in particular was a failure that hit hard on Marvel Studios' morale because it was a show everyone, including Feige, was extremely proud of. So they were proud of Miss Marvel. I will admit I've not seen that show, but all the advertisements, it didn't make me want to see it, quite frankly. 2023 was the first year in Marvel Studios' history where they actually fired employees. You know, dude, I could actually, Movie King 3000, I could actually read more of that article. If you have more of it, send it over, I'll read more of it. Throw it into the Patreon chat, because if there's more to that story, that's interesting. What do you guys make of all that? Khan says, okay then, Eric, I'm currently watching Clone Wars. Oh, cool. Hope you enjoy it. It's an amazing show. I'm on season 4. Ooh, that's a good one. And I want to know what your favorite season of the Clone Wars is and what you consider to be the best. Okay, my favorite season, season 3 onwards, fantastic. My favorite season is probably season 5. Season 4 and 5. I love those seasons. They are phenomenal. Doesn't mean they don't have their own problems, but they are phenomenal. Season 4 has got a really good arc with the clones as well, so the clones are amazing characters in that. Seriously, they are. You're in for a treat, buddy. You really are. How have you been finding it so far, then? If you're in season 4, how have you been finding it, and what episode are you on season 4? Eric, Kevin Feige took Catch Me If You Can too literally. Yeah, wow. They actually had to ambush Feige in the hall to ask him, the creatives did. Wow. Oh, it wants you to pay a subscription to get the full Wall Street Journal article. This person is tweeting Hernandi D. Moral or something. Does he have any more tweets about it? I rewatched The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. I'm on season 4, episode 14. Oh, really? So let's see. Which one is that? Let's see. The Clone Wars. Where is it? Season 4, episode 14. Okay, let's see. Ooh, so you're coming to some good ones there. Oh, so you've seen the one with Krell then, haven't you? Ooh, season 4 has got some... I was just scrolling through. It's got some really good episodes. You're going to really enjoy it, buddy. You really are. So yeah, you've gotten to... Oh, Jake says he's got to go now. Alright, Jake. Thank you very much for joining the stream. And thank you very much again for that donation. Seriously, you have no idea how much it helped. In future, Jake, if you... I don't know if that was a one-off or whatever, but I'm just saying in general... If you could, do it through Streamlabs, because you know how much I appreciate that. It means all the donation comes to me and none of it goes to YouTube. But if you choose not to, that's entirely your choice. But thank you very, very much. I seriously, really mean it. I really appreciate your generosity with that, especially now, seeing as YouTube is making it harder to actually put movie reviews on YouTube. I really needed that support, so you really helped me a great deal. So thank you very, very much, buddy. I really appreciate it. Jacinda says, F Love and Thunder. Adam Grunther has done a $2 super chat. Thank you very much, Adam. Very, very much. Favorite film villain, not from Star Wars or comics? Ooh, that's a good question. Star Wars or comics? Favorite film villain? It's just interesting, I realize how the best villains are actually from comic books and Star Wars. Because I can't immediately think of some now. I would say Agent Smith from Matrix, or the T-1000 from Terminator 2. The liquid metal Terminator. I'd say some of those two. Huh, Adam says it's a toss-up between Hans Gruber from Die Hard and Bill from Kill Bill for me. And Scar from The Lion King. Hans Gruber was a great villain as well. Yeah, like I said, for me it's the T-1000, a toss-up between the T-1000 and Agent Smith. Big Bash says, Eric, what Alien lineup do you like more, Alien Force or the original Ben 10? Alien Force or the original Ben 10? I would say the original Ben 10. Love them both, but the original is the classic ones. Which one do I like more? The T-1000, I would say. The T-1000 is freaky, so yeah, I would say that. But then again, Agent Smith has more personality. It depends what mood I'm in, but I would say probably the... You know what? Screw it. I'm going to say Agent Smith. I like his personality more. The T-1000 is very great at doing what he does, but he's just... You know... The more you think about it, I don't think I could... I think... They're both great, but I would just prefer the one with more personality. Yeah, Adam, he is. Swampfire was very much just a different version of Heat Blast. Smoothie King had put a comment up there saying, Hey Eric, joining a bit late. I have a question. Have you seen The Boys, the Amazon show? It's really good and wondering what you think of it. Yes, I have. I've seen each and every season of The Boys. I just don't cover The Boys on my channel because there are some shows I want to watch and feel like I don't have to review it every single time. So The Boys and Invincible was that for me. But then Invincible Season 2 I was covering on my Patreon and I was watching it and giving you guys my review of each episode. And once I finished with Daredevil Born Again on my Patreon, I'm going to start watching Invincible Season 3 with you guys, so... Yeah. The Time Shadow says, How do you feel about the way that You ended? I liked how it ended, but I think it could have been better. It felt a bit anticlimactic. And just the girl's plan at the end, I was like, your plan was so stupid. I kind of thought she was going to do something smart, but then she did something dumb instead, so that was kind of disappointing. It's definitely it's not ending on one of the great TV show ending kind of notes. It's just ending, is just what it did, so... Yeah, kind of disappointed. If I'm being honest with you. Thoughts on the ending of Breaking Bad? That was great. That was. Made you feel a little bit low, though, because it was kind of sad how it ended. Oh, yeah, Khan. Yeah, definitely. You know what you're talking about there. Movie King says, Are you getting the Ben 10 complete collection on DVD, Eric? It includes every single Ben 10 show, including the OG show, Alien Force, Ultimate Alien, and Omniverse. No, if I was to get it, I would only want Alien Force, the original Ben 10 and Alien Force. I don't really care about Ultimate Alien. I don't really care either about Omniverse. Ultimate Alien had a couple of good episodes, but not amazing. And honestly, after Alien Force Season 2, the writing for Ben 10 just took a nosedive. It really did. Joshman says, would you agree with the very good reviews of Thunderbolts, or would you disagree, and do you think it's another misstep? I think the movie is above average. I gave it a 6 out of 10. We'll see if my score stays at 6 out of 10 when I do the Versus video, if it goes higher or lower. But I think that the reviews are right to praise it, but I think they're overly praising it, because I think the movie was just rushed. The Dark Lord says, I recently rewatched Mask of the Phantasm, loved it as much as when I first saw it, and I swear the scene where Joker met Artie was straight out of a horror film. Yeah, that was. That was. Not gonna lie, I was surprised you said your rating for Thunderbolts in the stream and didn't wait until the Versus video. Honestly, G-Gamer, I was surprised too. I wasn't gonna give the score at first, but then I thought, you know what? For those of you watching the live stream who are tuning in, I'll give it to you guys. I'll give you that something extra. But yeah, in some of my reviews I have given you the scores before as well. In the quick movie reviews I used to do, then I said stay tuned for the versus video if I change my scores, which I usually did. So yeah, like I said, I still very much could change my score by the time the versus video comes out, so bear that in mind. Joshman says, Eric, are you going to do a standalone video on Thunderbolts or just do a versus video? I am going to do a versus video. That's my intent right now. There's a lot of videos to do, though, because I still haven't finished Snow White yet. I'm working on a versus video about Daredevil, Born Again. And we've got Lilo and Stitch coming out this month. And then next month we've got How to Train Your Dragon, I think, don't we? So yeah, a lot of movies coming our way. G-Gamer says, so many versus videos, man. That must be hard. It is hard, but like I said, I'm trying. I need to see an uptick on my channel by the time of June, because if not, I'm not going to be doing YouTube full-time, like I said. So, you know, by the end of June, I'm going to give myself. So, that's my limit, and I need to try more things. So, yeah. And these copyright claims are not helping. So, yeah. But like I said, you guys, whenever you help, that's always great. So, that's why I always push people, and I always try to... Well, not push people, but I always try to push my Patreon and say if you could donate through that. Because if I got a bunch of $5 or the $10 donations from just a small section of my my overall viewer base, that would be enough. That would be the uptick that I need to keep going and still do these. Because if I do not, if I do think, okay, it's not working, like I have to try something else, and then YouTube sadly will become a full-time, like more of a hobby, not a full-time thing like it is. Then these live streams won't be as common. The videos won't be as common, you know, things will really take a big change. I keep making videos for you guys because I really enjoy doing it. Smoothie King says, by the way, the end of Terminator 2, the T-1000 was malfunctioning at the steel plant in the climax, so he was flawed. By the way, which Terminator film is better, Terminator 1 or Terminator 2? Hopefully not the sequels, but won't judge you. Don't worry, you don't have to judge me. Because I am not going to say any of those sequels. I'm going to say the first sequel, Terminator 2. That's my favorite one. Definitely my favorite one. No, G-Gamer, you have been an immense help, so I 100% know that you've been trying, so thank you very much for that, G-Gamer. I really appreciate that. CJP says, how's life been treating you? It has its ups and downs, but I'm happy today. I feel, I don't know, I feel like chatting with you guys has kind of like lifted my spirits, because I've been having trouble today with that copyright claim, and yesterday with the copyright claim, and the day before that with the copyright claim on my latest versus video, which I was so proud of that I put up in such a good amount of time. I didn't take too long to get that video done, and then this copyright claim happens. But speaking with you guys now, I do feel a bit better, which is nice. Yep, Terminator should have stopped after 2. Big Bash says, how many people have actually joined the $5 perk? Well, people have actually joined the $5 perk on my YouTube memberships and on my Patreon. So, let's see. If I go over to Patreon... Who... Looks like someone bought something from the shop on my Patreon, so that's cool. I'll look at that in a second. I've got 35 members on the $1 perk, 1 member on the $2 perk, 5 members on the $5 perk, and 10 members on the Let's Watch perk. So yeah, I've got a lot of loyal like viewers on my Patreon, which is really great. Let's see here. Wow. I don't know if he's here, but Movie Guy over on my Patreon has been purchasing a lot of my stuff, and has really been helping a great deal. So yeah, like, I don't know what to say. But yeah, you can actually purchase those things I've got on my Patreon, and yeah, it's been happening, so that's nice. Time Shadow says, does Jake's massive donation from earlier count as some additional YouTube members? Yeah, it does. I would say it's in your funny way, yeah. Let's see. Adam Grunther says, will you be doing a Versa video for Thunderbolts? Yes, I intend to do one. That didn't sound right. I intend to do a Versus video. Yes, I intend to. Goat says, try selling merch. Would you guys buy merch? Because here's what I always think. I think if some people are not even gonna be willing to pay $1 on Patreon, will they be willing to buy merch? That's my thinking now. Maybe I'm wrong in that thinking, but that's kind of the thinking that I'm thinking. Time Shadow, I'm not going to tell you that. Adam, I don't think I want to tell you that either. I like to keep the mystery in there somewhere. Even if you guys think you know, I like the idea that you don't truly know until I put the video out. I haven't seen Invincible Season 3 yet, CJP, but when I do, it'll be on my Patreon. I'll be uploading my reaction and my first time watching it to all of you. Trevor says, yeah, I wear hats. Okay. How does merchandise sound to the rest of you then? Because, where is he gone? Trevor says, yeah, he wears hats. So merchandise is something that he would be interested in. What about the rest of you guys? Would you be interested in merch if I did some Captain Eric merch or something? CJP says, depends on what kind of merch. Like, let's just say we'll start with basic stuff like t-shirts, hats, and things, just as a start. Would that be interesting to any of you? Movie King says, sounds interesting. Will the merch include any slogans? Well, G-Gamer says, I want to get that Eric Carter shirt and wear it at college. You mean this shirt? When I was doing Let the Battle Commence with the fist emoji, which still very much could happen. Like, you know, the can I show this properly? What's going on? It's the camera which is really out blowing. Let me turn this light off. Give me a second. Okay, take a look. There you go. You can see that proper. This is basic. This is where you just see my logo with the beam across the center, with some of my style of stuff that I do, and then the Let the Battle Commence emoji. CJP says that looks nice. Yeah, a company asked me. They says that they could send me some samples over, and you know, I could. Is that something you guys would be interested in? Like, let's just say as a start. And then would you... Let's put the light back on now. And then would you want to... I don't know, then would you want to see any others to come out of that? Like Captain Eric and things, maybe? A Captain Eric plushie. That sounds interesting. Kansa, sure, why not? That'll be fun. How would an Eric plushie work? I don't know, G Gamer. Who suggested that? A Captain Eric mug. Captain Eric logo, but just like a Superman logo. That's funny. Electrify says, it may seem like I'm more harsher to Thunderbolts, but I know the MCU problems and plus I used to defend the early 2020s Marvel movies until I know how bad they were. Yeah, I could totally understand your frustration. It's just Marvel doing what Marvel do, and they don't do better. Captain Eric video game. Come on, guys. Serious here. Captain Eric Funko Pop and Lego sets. Well, if you know people can get that done, by all means. So would you guys like these? Would you like merchandise? The Logman says, hey Eric, I just got back from Sinners and it was really good. I'm sorry to say, buddy, it's funny you watched it today because I had a versus video for Sinners versus the From Dusk Till Dawn, which I wanted to upload today. The versus video is ready, but it's just got copyright claims on it. So sadly, you could have watched it right after coming back from watching the film. But sadly, copyright claims. It's on my Patreon though, and it's on my YouTube membership, so if you want early access to it, you can. But yeah, it's just very unfortunate that YouTube have got copyright claim on it, and the company that I submitted a dispute on, they rejected the dispute. It's like they just want this to happen, so yeah. Time Shadow, I will be working on the Monkey review. I'm just getting these other versus videos out first. Movie King 3000 says, sounds interesting. Will the merch include... No, we've already read that, actually. Khan says, sure, why not? That'll be fun. Okay, I'll try to get some merch done. I Hate Anime has come into the chat. I'll start with those t-shirts. We'll start with that. We'll see what happens, and then I'll see if I can expand from there. If you guys want more things. Okay, G-Game, I'm sure it would. I'm sure it would. Also, what if I... Because like I said, YouTube is messing around with monetization, and I feel like a lot of creators are going to go through that. If this is the early signs we're getting of it, I'm sure it's going to get worse. So I was thinking of Amazon affiliate links, because people are telling me that I should really get into those, and I just never did. If I did Amazon affiliate links and you guys were looking to make big purchases on Amazon, just in your normal day-to-day lives, would you be okay with, if I gave you an affiliate link of mine, would you be okay with clicking that link and buying it through my link? Would that be something that you guys are okay with? Because it basically means you're doing the exact same purchase you would, except just by clicking my link, you're actually giving me some kickback too. Not separately, just through the same purchase, basically. You guys know how Amazon affiliates work, right? So instead of 100% of the money going to Amazon from what you're paying, essentially they'll say, okay, a couple percent we'll give to Eric because you did the purchase through his link. So Amazon will get, say, 98% rather than 100%, and that 2% I get. You know what I mean? Khan says, sure, if that can work, Eric. That would actually work, that would. If people would say, hey, Eric, I'm looking to buy... this thing from Amazon, could you give me your affiliate link? That would help in spades, that would. Especially if it's anything to do with big items, like say if you're getting like a monitor or a phone or something. Smoothie King says, wait, if you're selling merch, you don't actually get the money. No, I do. If I'm selling merch, I do. It depends what... I remember the people that sent me those shirts, I'll tell you what they said to me. They says, we'll cover creating the shirts, and whatever design you want, we'll put it on. But then, they said, I think that the first 2 purchases, they get the money for, and then after that, I get a cut from every merchandise sold. That's what they said at the time. So it all depends on what deal you can get with them, you know, when you negotiate. I never quite put the link out there. I think I was insecure to do so, which is stupid on my part, but... yeah, I think if I would try those things, yeah. I Hate Anime says, I'm so tired. Buddy, it is 1:44 a.m. right here, and I'm still chatting to you guys for 2.5 hours. My voice is going, and my throat is really sore. I'm really tired, too. Captain Eric biopic starring Christian Bale and directed by Christopher Nolan. Man, you guys. Guys, I gotta say, I'm enjoying speaking to all of you so much. Although Adam Grunthus seems to have left the chat, I think. He didn't even say goodbye. Did you hear the news about Ryan Reynolds developing a Deadpool and X-Men team-up movie, and do you think it's a good idea, or is it too much? I heard about it, and I think it is too much. I think Ryan Reynolds is too much into the comedy. I don't think his story in Deadpool Wolverine was up to snuff. I think they need a proper writer for something like that, not Ryan Reynolds who's into comedy. So I think they do need to do better. 10 Rex, I think I will be going in a bit, so if you don't come back, take care. It was great seeing you. I really appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, guys, this has been an absolute blast. You guys know how much I love all of you. I consider you my second family. Really, I do. So, love every single one of you. Love your kind words. Love your support. I'm so sorry I cannot give you that versus video today, which is what I really wanted to do, and it really does hurt my heart that I'm not able to give you guys that right now. But like I said, it is available on Patreon if you want to watch it now. It's available there. Patreon have not given me any kind of fuss, unlike YouTube. And it's also available on YouTube memberships if you don't want to go to Patreon. But like I said, I vouch for Patreon. I support people on Patreon, and I would not tell you to do something that I wouldn't do myself. So, thank you guys very, very much. Big Bass says it's not your fault, Eric. I know. It's always frustrating still, though, when that happens. But really, thank you all so much. I've had an absolute blast. Movie King, thank you for posting those stuff on the Patreon chat. That was some fun stuff to discuss on the stream. And yeah, look at that. We've done a 2.5 hour stream, whereas usually I'm always trying to keep them at 2 hours. So just goes to show how much I enjoy having your company. So this was an absolute blast. Love every single one of you to death, and I cannot wait to see you guys next week. A big thanks to all of you. Again, another big thanks to Jake for his help. Big thanks to Adam Grunther for coming down and also doing a lot of donations. Super Michael, Electrify, Iron Warrior, Batman's Gamer, Crazy Cat Lady, Kevin. All of you were absolutely wonderful. I really appreciate your support, and I can't wait to keep making more content for you. So thanks very much for everything, guys, and I'll catch all of you very soon. Take care.